The targeting reticle hadn't even finished its lock sequence when Emma Johnson mentioned, "You might want to add the 3-second delay to your safety briefing." Kael'thas froze mid-demonstration, his secondary arms still positioned on the Mark 7 plasma rifle. In 40 training cycles as the Galactic Defense Academy's top marksman instructor, he had never encountered a delay in the Academy's premier targeting system. The human exchange student stood beside the firing line with her arms crossed, looking at the weapon like someone who just spotted a typo in a restaurant menu. Delay? Kael'thas's mandibles clicked softly. There is no delay. The Mark 7 targeting matrix operates at quantum speeds. Emma shrugged. Her strange shoulder joint movement that Kael'thas had learned meant casual dismissal. If you say so. Just felt like there was a gap between when you aimed and when it locked on. According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. 3 other students shifted uncomfortably at their stations. Vex Thule, a decorated Korthian military officer with 15 years of combat experience, checked his own weapon's readout. Instructor, the specifications confirm 0 latency. Perhaps the human is experiencing perceptual difficulties with our equipment. Maybe, Emma said, though her tone suggested she didn't believe it. I'm just a gym teacher. What do I know about alien death rays? Azila, the Viridian weapons engineer 2 stations down, pulled up her diagnostic interface. The human is correct to be cautious, even if mistaken. Safety protocols exist for... She stopped, her 3 eyes widening in sequence. Instructor Kael'thas, I'm reading... There is a processing gap, 0.03 seconds between target acquisition and firing solution. 0.03 seconds is negligible, Kael'thas said, though something cold settled in his chest cavity. It's built into the system architecture for safety verification. Right, but that's not in the documentation you just showed us, Emma pointed out. She walked over to examine the rifle more closely, and Kael'thas noticed she kept her body angled away from the barrel, proper safety posture despite claiming ignorance. And if I'm doing the math right, at combat speeds, 0.03 of a second is enough time for someone to move about 20 centimeters. That's the difference between a shoulder wound and a miss. Zara, the 4th student, a silicate combat analyst, performed rapid calculations. The human's mathematics are accurate. At standard evasion velocities, the delay window creates a significant vulnerability margin. Kael'thas set the rifle down with more force than intended. The Mark 7 system is deployed across 47 worlds, millions of units in active service. If there were a tactical flaw, it would have been identified long before He stopped himself. Before a human gym teacher noticed, Emma finished, smiling. Yeah, I get that a lot. Look, I'm probably wrong. I've only been off-world for, like, 3 weeks. Your guys are the experts. She held up her hands in a gesture of surrender. Let's just continue the class. But Kael'thas couldn't shake the feeling that something fundamental had shifted. In his peripheral vision, he saw Azila still staring at her diagnostic readout, her expression troubled. Very well, he said slowly. Let us proceed to live-fire exercises, standard target array, 800-meter range. He gestured to the firing positions. Vex Thule, you will demonstrate first, followed by... Can I go? Emma asked brightly. I've never shot a plasma rifle before. This should be fun. Kael'thas's training protocols warred with his instincts. The human had already proven herself observant in ways that unsettled him. But she was also technically correct. She was here to learn. Position 3, he said finally. Standard safety protocols apply. The weapon will guide your aim once you acquire the target. Emma stepped up to the firing line, accepting the rifle from Vex Thule with casual confidence that made Kael'thas's spinal ridge tingle with unease. She hefted it, adjusted her grip, and brought it to her shoulder in one smooth motion that spoke of firearms familiarity, despite her claims of inexperience. Just point and shoot? She asked. The targeting matrix will... Kael'thas began. The rifle discharged. The target at 800 meters, a standard combat silhouette, showed a perfect center mass hit. Emma lowered the weapon, checking the safety before setting it on the rest. "Huh," she said. "That wasn't so bad." Kael'thas stared at his chronometer. From weapon acquisition to discharge, 1.3 seconds. The targeting matrix required a minimum of 2.1 seconds to establish firing solution on a cold target at that range. "How did you—" Azila started, then stopped, her diagnostic tools flashing urgent warnings. "That's impossible. The targeting lock hadn't engaged. You fired manually?" "I mean, the red dot was on the target," Emma said, looking confused by their reactions. "Isn't that how it works?" "The red dot, as you call it, requires full lock before firing authorization," Vexthul explained, his own confusion evident. "You bypass the safety interlock?" "No, I just pulled the trigger when I was aimed right." Emma looked at Kael'thas. "Did I do something wrong?" Kael'thas realized he'd been holding his breath. No, you achieved target strike. That is the objective." He paused. "Please demonstrate again. Standard procedure this time. Wait for full targeting lock." Emma nodded, picking up the rifle again. She aimed downrange at a new target, and Kael'thas watched the targeting matrix initialize. The reticle appeared, began its acquisition sequence, tracking across the target plane. Emma fired. Another perfect hit. Time to discharge. 1.4 seconds. Matrix lock time, still 2.1 seconds minimum. "Emma," Kael'thas said carefully, "you are aware that you continue to fire before the targeting system authorizes the shot?" "Do I?" She looked genuinely surprised. "It feels locked to me, like I can feel when it's on target." "That is not how the system works," Azila said flatly. She was pulling up more diagnostic data, her movements increasingly agitated. "The system provides haptic feedback only after full lock is achieved. There is no preliminary sensation." "Weird." Emma aimed at a third target, this one partially obscured by a barrier plate. Standard cover penetration drill. "Maybe it's a human thing? We're pretty good at knowing where we're pointing." She fired. The plasma bolt curved around the barrier plate. It curved. Kael'thas felt his world tilt. Plasma bolts traveled in straight lines. It was fundamental physics. They couldn't curve except under gravitational influence or magnetic containment, and the range had neither. "Stop," he said, his voice cracking on the translator. "Cease fire immediately." Emma set the rifle down, looking worried now. "Did I break it?" "The projectile," Zara whispered, pulling up the recorded trajectory. "It deviated 47 degrees from firing vector. That's not possible. It's not. The plasma should have dissipated." "Oh, that," Emma laughed, the sound nervous. "Yeah, the wind pattern was pretty obvious, so I adjusted for it." "There is no wind," Vexthul said. "This is a pressurized, climate-controlled environment." "Right, but there's air circulation, and I could feel the current from the ventilation system, so—" Emma trailed off, apparently realizing from their expressions that she'd said something alarming. "That's not normal." Kael'thas reached for his communicator with hands that trembled slightly. "Range Master Genix, please report to Training Arena 7 immediately. We have a situation." Range Master Genix arrived within 2 minutes, his bulk filling the observation deck doorway. The Catharian officer had seen combat in 6 major conflicts and had personally designed half the Academy's training protocols. Nothing rattled Genix. "Instructor Kael'thas," Genix rumbled, his voice like grinding stone. "Your message indicated urgent technical failure. I see no damage, no injuries. Explain." "The human," Kael'thas said simply, gesturing to where Emma stood awkwardly by the firing line, waving a small greeting. "She is performing impossibly." Genix's crest flattened, a sign of skepticism. "I have read the reports on human capabilities. They are formidable but not beyond explanation. What specific impossibility do you claim?" "She fires before the targeting system achieves lock. She curves plasma bolts. She predicts air current patterns in a controlled environment." Kael'thas pulled up the recorded data, and her accuracy is perfect across all attempts. Ginix studied the recordings, his crest gradually rising, a sign of concern. These readings are irregular, but perhaps equipment malfunction rather than impossible performance. Let us see for ourselves. He stepped onto the range floor. Human Emma, yes? I am Range Master Ginix. I would like you to demonstrate your firing technique. Sure thing, Range Master. Emma picked up the rifle again, her movements easy and practiced. Same drill? No, Ginix said. I want to observe your maximum effective range. Please target the far wall. Emma looked at the wall, a standard reinforced barrier at 200 meters. Okay, but that's pretty far, I might miss. That is acceptable. Please proceed. Emma aimed, waited perhaps half a second, and fired. The plasma bolt struck the wall dead center of where she'd aimed. Adequate, Ginix said. Now please target the maintenance hangar. Kael'thas's mandibles clicked in alarm. Range Master, the maintenance hangar is 2.4 kilometers distant, through 2 reinforced walls. That is not within the Mark 7's effective range, and the barriers would dissipate any plasma charge before. I am aware of the specifications, Ginix interrupted. I wish to test the human's perception of possibility. He turned to Emma. Do you believe you can hit a target in the maintenance hangar? Emma squinted in that direction, though there was no possible line of sight. I mean, maybe? If I aim where it needs to go rather than where it is, the physics should work out. Every instructor in the room stiffened. Explain what you mean by where it needs to go, Ginix said slowly. Like... Emma gestured vaguely with the rifle, safely pointed downrange, Kael'thas noted. You don't aim at where something is right now. You aim at where it's going to be when your shot gets there, and you account for what's in the way and how the energy will move through space and... She trailed off, seeing their expressions. That's normal, right? That's just how shooting works. No, Azila whispered. That is not how shooting works. That is how theoretical probability calculation works. That is what the targeting computer does. Huh. Emma looked at the rifle with new appreciation. No wonder these things are so expensive. They do all the thinking for you. They do the thinking because organic beings cannot calculate multivariable trajectory equations in real time, Zara said. It is mathematically impossible for a biological brain to... Want to bet lunch on it? Emma interrupted, grinning. I'm pretty sure I can hit something in that hangar. Ginix's crest was fully raised now, a position Kael'thas had seen only 3 times in his career, twice before major battles, once when a core reactor had begun critical failure sequence. Very well, there is a target dummy in the maintenance hangar, positioned for storage. It is 2.4 kilometers from your current position, behind 2 reinforced walls. If you can hit it, I will personally purchase your meal in the commissary for a week. You're on. Emma raised the rifle, aimed at an angle that made no sense. She was pointing at the ceiling, and fired. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Kael'thas's communicator chimed. Maintenance Crew Supervisor, Emergency Channel. Range Master Ginix, sir. We have a problem. Something just put a hole through our dummy. Clean through. The thing was inside the storage locker, and there's a hole in the locker door, the dummy, and the back wall. No signs of forced entry, just a hole. Perfectly circular, still hot. Looks like a plasma strike, but that's impossible because we're in a sealed... Ginix closed the channel. He turned to stare at Emma, who was checking her chronometer. Oh man, I'm going to be late for my pottery class, she said. Am I good to go, or do you need me for more tests? The trajectory, Azila said, her voice hollow. I tracked it. The plasma bolt traveled through the first wall without resistance, accelerated in the gap space, penetrated the second wall, and maintained coherence across 2.4 kilometers. It accelerated. After firing. She looked up from her diagnostic tools. That is not physics. That is not possible. Sure it is, Emma said cheerfully. You just have to aim where it needs to go, not where you think it should go. The universe is pretty good at filling in the gaps if you ask nicely. Kaltas felt his training, his education, his entire understanding of combat doctrine crumbling. Emma, he said slowly, when you aim, what exactly do you perceive? Oh, the paths. She said it like it was obvious. All the different ways the shot could go, and you just pick the one that ends up where you want. Don't you guys see that? No, Ginix said flatly. We do not see the paths. We calculate trajectories using computational systems because biological perception cannot process probability matrices in real time. Emma's expression shifted from confusion to concern. Wait, seriously? You guys can't see probability patterns? How do you do anything? How do you know where to step when you're walking, or when to grab something before it falls, or… We observe and react, Vexthul said. We see an object falling, then move to catch it. Cause, then effect. Linear temporal sequence. That sounds exhausting, Emma said. You're telling me you experience everything in the order it happens? No preview? The silence stretched for 5 full seconds. Preview, Zara finally repeated. You perceive events before they occur? I mean, not like fortune-telling or anything. Emma laughed, but it was uncertain now. Just, the immediate stuff, the next few seconds, sometimes minutes if I'm really focused. It's not like I can predict the lottery or anything, just immediate physical stuff, where things are going to be, what's about to happen. Instinct, I guess. Kaltas activated the facility-wide emergency channel. Chief Instructor Zilax, report to Training Arena 7 immediately. Full staff. Authorization Omega. Emma looked alarmed. Did I do something illegal? Because I swear I didn't know there were any rules about you are not in trouble, Ginix said, though his voice was tight. We simply need to understand exactly what you are capable of. I'm a gym teacher who shoots a little on weekends, Emma protested. I'm not capable of anything special. Izila laughed, a bitter sound. You violate causality as casually as breathing. You perceive probability as easily as we perceive color. You just struck a target through 2 walls at a distance that should be impossible, and you think it is normal. She set down her diagnostic tools. Human Emma, I believe you are the most dangerous being in this facility, and you do not even realize it. That seems like an overreaction, Emma said, but she was fidgeting now, her posture defensive. Kalthas stepped closer, careful to move slowly and non-threateningly. Emma, I need you to answer a question honestly. When Vexthul moved to check his weapon earlier, did you know he was going to do that before he did it? Emma bit her lip. I mean, yeah. He was thinking about it pretty obviously. He had not moved yet. He had not spoken. How did you know? His weight shifted. His eyes tracked to his weapon. His breathing changed. All the little signs that someone's about to move. Emma paused. Wait, you guys can't read that stuff either? We can read body language, yes, Vexthul said slowly. But you are describing something else. You are describing knowing my intention before I acted on it. 3 seconds before, Kalthas added quietly, remembering. You knew 3 seconds before Vexthul moved, and you were not even looking at him. Emma went very still. How did you know I wasn't looking? Because I was watching you, Kalthas said, and I watched you react to something that had not yet happened. You moved your equipment before he stood up, making space for him to walk past. He had not yet decided to stand up. I'm sure I just heard him or something. Chief Instructor Zilax entered the training arena at speed, his administrative robes flowing behind him. 2 science officers flanked him, already deploying sensor equipment. What is the nature of this emergency? Zilax demanded. I was in the middle of an academy board meeting. This had better be. The human perceives future events, Ginix interrupted. She experiences causality non-linearly. She weaponizes probability without conscious calculation. Zilax stopped mid-stride. That is an extraordinary claim. Based on what evidence? She shot a target through 2 walls at 2.4 kilometers, using weapon system designed for 800-meter maximum range, Kalthas said. She fires before targeting solutions are computed. She predicts movement before it occurs, and she does all of this while believing it to be normal. Silax turned to look at Emma, his 6 eyes focusing with an intensity that made even Kael'thas uncomfortable. Human, please target me with the weapon. Do not fire. Simply aim. I don't think that's a good, Emma started. Do it, Silax said softly. Emma hesitated, then raised the rifle, aiming at Silax's chest. Silax stepped to the left. Emma's aim tracked with him, the barrel following his movement. Silax stepped right. The barrel followed again, but this time Emma moved first, a fraction of a second before Silax did. Again, Silax commanded, and began a random evasion pattern: left, right, crouch, sidestep, jump. Emma's aim stayed perfectly locked on his center mass, and Kael'thas saw what made his blood run cold. She wasn't tracking Silax's movement. She was already aimed where he would be by the time she would pull the trigger. Silax stopped moving. He was breathing heavily, his robes disheveled. Lower the weapon. Emma did, looking shaken. That felt wrong, like I was hunting you. You were, Silax said quietly. And the most disturbing part is that I could not escape your aim. I used advanced evasion techniques taught to Special Operations Forces. I randomized my movements using probability algorithms. And you tracked me perfectly. He paused. Because you were not predicting my movements. You were perceiving them before they occurred. That's not, Emma stopped. Okay, maybe a little bit? But that's just good shooting. My dad taught me when I was 12. You lead your target, you read their body language, you anticipate. At 12 years old? Azila interrupted. You could do this at 12 years old? Well, yeah, but I was pretty bad at it back then, could barely hit moving targets at 100 meters. Emma seemed to realize what she just said, which is normal for humans, right? The assembled instructors exchanged looks. Most trained marksmen cannot reliably hit moving targets at 100 meters, Vexthul said slowly. It requires years of practice and advanced equipment. Or precognition, Zara added. Apparently. I don't have precognition, Emma protested. I'm not psychic. I just pay attention really well. Silax gestured to one of the science officers. Please bring up the human's application documents. I want to review her listed qualifications. The officer complied, projecting a holographic display. Emma Johnson, age 32, Earth Standard. Profession, physical education teacher at Roosevelt High School, North America, Earth. Previous experience includes competitive shooting, regional champion 3 years running, varsity volleyball coach, wilderness survival instructor. Stop, Silax commanded. Regional shooting champion against other humans? Well, yeah, Emma said. Who else would I compete against? And these other humans, Silax said carefully, do they also possess your ability to perceive future events? They don't. Emma stopped, thinking. I mean, all the good shooters have that kind of instinct. You have to compete. You have to know where your target's going to be, feel the shot before you take it, read the wind that hasn't hit you yet. She trailed off, seeing their expressions. Oh no, this is a whole species thing, isn't it? Kael'thas felt like the floor had dropped away. Your students, the children you teach, do they exhibit these abilities? I mean, they're kids, so they're still learning, but yeah. Emma's voice had gone up an octave. We play dodgeball, and the good players can pretty much tell where the ball's going before it's thrown. Some of them are scary good at it. There's this one kid, Marcus, who can catch balls he can't even see because he knows where they'll be. Children, Ginix interrupted. Human children possess tactical precognition. It's not precognition, Emma insisted. It's just pattern recognition, spatial awareness, really good reflexes? No, Zara said flatly. Reflexes are reactive. You are describing proactive perception. You perceive the probability matrix and select optimal outcomes in real time. That is not biology. That is what our most advanced combat computers do. But I'm not a computer, Emma said. I'm just a person, a regular person. By human standards, Silax said slowly, You may indeed be regular. That is what terrifies me. He turned to his science officers. How many humans are currently enrolled at this academy? 17, Chief Instructor. Exchange program started 4 months ago. And how many have undergone weapons training? Only this one so far. The others are in theoretical courses. Zilax's expression, a complex arrangement of his facial tentacles, indicated profound relief. Thank the founders. Range Master Genix, Instructor Kael'thas. I am implementing immediate protocol changes. No more humans in practical weapons training until we understand the full scope of their capabilities. That seems discriminatory, Emma protested weakly. It is survival instinct, Zilax replied. Human Emma, please understand, from our perspective, your entire species possesses a tactical advantage that we believed was impossible. You experience combat non-linearly. You perceive threats before they manifest. You know where your enemies will be before they know themselves. He paused. If humanity decided to wage war on the galactic community, we would lose. Decisively. Because you would see our every move before we made it. That's ridiculous, Emma said. We're not some kind of super warriors. We're just people. We argue about parking spaces and forget our passwords and you perceive future events without conscious effort, Kael'thas finished softly. Emma, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. When I spoke just now, when I interrupted you, did you know what I was going to say? Emma's silence was answer enough. How far ahead? Zilax asked. How far into the future do you perceive? It's not like that, Emma said, but her voice was small now. It's not clear. It's just possibilities. Probable things. Like right now, I know you're probably going to ask me more questions, and someone's going to contact Earth Command, and I'm probably going to miss my pottery class. She laughed weakly. That last one I'm most certain about. Probability assessment, Zara breathed. You live in a constant state of probability assessment. You experience every moment as a branching tree of possible futures, and you navigate the branches without thinking about it. I guess? Emma looked lost. That's just normal, though. Everyone does it, don't they? No, Vexthul said gently. We do not. We experience time linearly, one moment after another. Cause followed by effect. We cannot see what has not yet happened. Emma sat down heavily on a nearby equipment crate. So what you're saying is, every human is like this, and we just thought everyone could do it? Did you never wonder, Azila asked, why your entertainment media is so focused on mysteries and surprises? Why you create entire genres of fiction around shocking twists and unpredictable outcomes? Because they're fun, Emma tried. They are fun because they are rare, Zilax said. You have structured your entire entertainment culture around the concept of the unpredictable because in your daily lives, almost everything is predictable to you. You see it coming. He sat down across from her. Human Emma, I need you to think carefully. Your species has been part of the galactic community for what, 15 years now? 17, but yeah, pretty recent. In those 17 years, how many armed conflicts have involved humans? Emma counted on her fingers. There was that thing with the Draxian pirates, but that got resolved really fast. And the border dispute with the Cathari, but we negotiated that before anyone fired a shot. And, yeah, that's it, I think. 12 species attempted to engage humans in armed conflict, Genix said quietly. All 12 encounters ended within hours, with minimal human casualties and completely demoralized enemy forces. The official reports cited human tactical superiority and impossible response times. We thought it was training, technology, strategy. He laughed bitterly. It was none of those things. It was you seeing us coming. We're not mind readers, Emma insisted. We can't see everything. Plenty of stuff surprises us. But not in combat, Kael'thas said. Not when your lives depend on it. That is when this ability manifests most strongly, yes? When the stakes are highest? Emma nodded slowly. Yeah, when things get serious, when you really need to focus, everything kind of slows down and clarifies. Athletes call it being in the zone. Soldiers call it combat clarity. It's just adrenaline and focus. It is localized temporal perception asymmetry, Zara corrected. It is your brain accessing probability data that should not be accessible to biological consciousness. It is terrifying. I teach teenagers how to play volleyball, Emma said plaintively. I help them with their jump serves and their setting. Technique. I'm not terrifying. Your students, Vexthul said slowly. The ones you say are scary good at dodgeball, do they ever compete against non-human students? Emma's expression changed. Oh no, yeah, there's this interspecies youth league that just started and… Oh no, the human kids are winning everything, aren't they? And everyone thinks we're cheating somehow. Not cheating, Zilak said, just being human. Which, from everyone else's perspective, might as well be the same thing. He stood. I need to contact Earth Command immediately, and the Galactic Council. This changes everything. Changes what? Emma asked. We're still the same species we were an hour ago. But now we understand what you are, Ginnick said. We thought humans were simply another species of talented warriors. We did not realize you were… He struggled for words. Living weapons systems, biological probability engines. You do not just react to threats, you perceive them in their nascent state and eliminate them before they fully manifest. That is the most dramatic description of decent reflexes I've ever heard, Emma muttered. Kael'thas knelt down beside her, bringing his eyes level with hers. Emma, when I first held the rifle today, when I was demonstrating the targeting system, you said you felt the delay. You perceived a 300th of a second gap in system response. How? I don't know, Emma admitted. It just felt wrong, like something was out of sync. You perceived temporal desynchronization too subtle for our instruments to detect without specific diagnostic protocols, Azila said. You sensed a gap in causality that should be imperceptible to organic consciousness. Or, Emma countered, I've spent enough time around machinery to know when something feels off. That's not magic, that's experience. Except you had never touched that weapon before today, Kael'thas reminded her gently. You had no prior experience with that specific system. Emma opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. Okay, that's fair, but still there's got to be a rational explanation that doesn't involve time travel or psychic powers or whatever. There is, Zilak said, returning from his communication station. The explanation is that human neurology evolved along a different path than the rest of the galactic community. Your species developed in an environment with extreme predation pressure and complex social dynamics. You needed to predict threats and anticipate the actions of both predators and social rivals. Over millions of years, your brains developed enhanced probability processing to the point where it became unconscious, instinct, as you call it. So we're just really good guessers, Emma said hopefully. You guess the future with 95% accuracy in controlled tests, Zara said, pulling up data from Emma's earlier shooting. That is not guessing. That is perception. Tests I didn't know I was taking, Emma pointed out. Which makes the results more significant, not less, Vexthul said. You were not trying to demonstrate this ability. You were simply being yourself. This is your baseline. Emma stood up, brushing off her training uniform. Okay, so let's say you're right. Let's say all humans can kind of sense what's about to happen. What does that change? We're not going to start a war or anything. We're just regular people trying to get along in the galaxy. It changes everything about galactic security doctrine, Ginnick said bluntly. Every combat protocol, every defensive strategy, every tactical manual, all of it assumes linear causality. All of it assumes you cannot know what your enemy will do until they do it. But humans do know. You always know. Not always, Emma protested. Stuff surprises us all the time. In combat, Kael'thas pressed. In life or death situations? When have you been genuinely surprised in combat? Emma thought about it. Well, never, I guess. But I've only been in a couple of bar fights, and those don't really count. Bar fights, Azila repeated. You have been in physical altercations? I mean, yeah, a few times, before I got smart enough to avoid stupid situations. Emma shrugged. Why? And in these altercations, did you ever get hit by a punch you did not see coming? Emma laughed. Of course not. You always see them winding up. She stopped. Oh, that's the thing, isn't it? I see them deciding to punch before they throw the punch. Yes, Vexthul said. That is exactly the thing. A new voice spoke from the arena entrance. So we're calling it an ability now? That's fun. I just thought I had good spatial awareness. Everyone turned to see a young human male entering the arena, wearing the same exchange program uniform as Emma. He was maybe 19 years old, with an easy confidence that Kael'thas now recognized as something far more significant. Marcus Chen, the young man introduced himself, human exchange student, xenobiology track. I heard there was an emergency regarding humans and wanted to check in. He grinned at Emma. Hey, Ms. Johnson, weird seeing you here. Marcus? Emma stood confused. You're in the exchange program? Since when? Since last month. My parents pushed me to apply when they heard you were coming. Marcus looked around at the assembled instructors. So, what's the emergency? Did Emma accidentally reveal that we're all secretly probability calculators or something? The silence was deafening. Marcus's grin faded. Oh, that's exactly what happened, isn't it? He sighed. In my defense, I thought everyone knew. It's not like we hide it. You hide it by not realizing it requires hiding, Zilax said. Young human Marcus, can you perceive future events? Can I what now? Marcus looked genuinely confused, then understanding dawned. Oh, you mean the thing where you know what's about to happen? Yeah, obviously. Everyone can do that, right? Wrong, Ginix said. Only humans can do that. Marcus processed this, his expression shifting through several emotions before landing on concern. Okay, so,